What if I told you that your bank account, yes, your personal money, your savings, your CDs, even the contents of your safety deposit box, well, they could vanish without warning and legally end up in the hands of the government? Sounds absolutely insane, right? But this is exactly what's happening, and Bank of America just made it official. See, they're cancelling accounts that don't meet one specific condition. And it's far more common than you might think. So here's the bombshell. Wells Fargo is doing it too. So is Chase. So is Citi. It's a banking industry shift. And to be honest with you, most Americans have no idea that the financial system that they rely on every single day could quietly erase them. So if you think you're immune, you're not. So let's talk about how this works, why it's happening, and exactly what steps you must take to protect your money before it totally disappears. So, Bank of America recently issued a public alert stating they're cancelling accounts considered inactive or abandoned. But it's not just checkings and savings, no. This includes safety deposit boxes, retirement accounts, CDs, even uncashed checks. They're all vulnerable. They're not hiding it. The announcement is right there on their website, and it's not unique to them. It's actually industry wide. And it's all tied to something called eschewment laws, which require banks to surrender unclaimed assets to the state after a certain period. So if you haven't interacted with your account in that time frame, and we're talking typically 1 to 3 years, depending on the state, well, the bank is obligated to send your money to the good old government. And it's not optional, it's required. And here's the kicker. Inactivity doesn't mean what you think. Just earning interest, getting hit with a monthly maintenance fee, well, none of that counts. So unless you personally initiate a transaction or a login, well, your account is at risk. So let's dig into the details. So in places like New York, California, Texas, and Illinois, the cutoff is typically 3 years. But if you live in Washington State, Florida, or other states with stricter regulations, well, your account can be considered dormant after just 12 months of inactivity. 12 months! That means if you opened a savings account last summer, threw a few $100s in, and you haven't touched it since, well, you're already halfway to having your account flagged. And guess what happens next? Well, first your account gets frozen. Then, if you don't respond to the bank's warning, which, by the way, many people never even received because they moved or they ignored the letter, well, your funds and any assets are legally transferred to your state's unclaimed property division. Now, at that point, it's no longer the bank's problem. It actually becomes your responsibility to dig through bureaucratic red tape, submit claims, and prove ownership just to get your own money back. And the clock keeps ticking. Now, states don't have to notify you directly, and many won't if your account falls under a certain dollar amount, unless usually it's around $50 or $100. Now, in those cases, your money could vanish quietly without a single phone call or an email. Now, think about safe deposit boxes for a moment. These aren't just bank accounts, they contain irreplaceable items like jewelry, birth certificates, passports, and wills. Now, once flagged as abandoned, well, the bank has the right to open that box and its inventory and its contents before shipping them off to the state. Now, that's not just a nuisance, that's a total violation of the trust that most people place in their bank in the first place. So, my financial freedom warriors, just before we take a deeper dive, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game changing video that helps your financial situation. And I promise it will help and you will appreciate it. So, buckle up and let's plunge a bit deeper. So, is there any good news? Yes, you can prevent this with some basic regular activity. So start by logging into your online banking platform at least once every couple of months. Even just checking your balance registers as a customer initiated activity. So if you have accounts you rarely use, maybe an old emergency fund, a CD you opened years ago, or even a savings account you set up for your child, move a small amount between accounts. Even transferring $10 from checkings to savings and back. That's all it takes to reset the dormancy timer. Also, update your personal details, because something as small as changing your address, updating your phone number, or confirming your employment status, they all count. It shows the bank that you're still present and you're engaged. And for safety boxes, and this is the big one, make it a habit to visit the branch and check on it at least once a year. You don't want the bank assuming you've forgotten about it and taking action without your consent. Now, if you've got checks that you haven't cashed, maybe one from a rebate or a dividend, don't leave it sitting in a drawer, because that money is a liability until it's processed. And over time, it can fall into that same dormant classification. Understand, though, that banks aren't doing this because they're evil, they're doing it because it's profitable. See, dormant accounts are liabilities. They open the bank up to fraud, audit risks, and higher costs. So, by transferring your assets to the state, they eliminate that risk and free up internal resources. Now, I know it's a cold, calculated decision, but for the consumer, well, it's a ticking time bomb. See, the moment your account gets flagged, access gets frozen. You can't transfer, withdraw, or manage anything at all until you prove you're still alive and still the rightful owner. And depending on the state, well, that process can take months. It can involve court forms, notarized affidavits, and delays that you never anticipated. So you need to start viewing your bank accounts, even the ones that you don't use, as assets that require maintenance. Kind of think of them like a car. If you don't drive it for a year and you just leave it parked on the street, well, eventually someone's going to tow it away. That's exactly what the banks are doing. So here's your action plan. Don't let even a single account sit idle. Log in, transfer something, make a deposit, visit your branch if you must. It doesn't have to be complicated, just active. And please, please share this video with family and friends, especially elderly parents or relatives who may have old bank accounts they've totally forgotten about, because these accounts are the most vulnerable and they're likely to be the first to be seized. So this is your wake-up call. Your financial safety net can only protect you if you're paying attention to it. As always, thanks for watching. As you know, I drop videos like this every single day to help protect your finances and keep you well informed. Smash that like button and hit subscribe, because let me tell you, what you don't know will absolutely come back to bite you. So in the meantime, have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.